Did I really put this garbage in my deck?
Hey everyone, it's mekklord, and I don't get what the big deal with Red Eyes is. It's a deck that has been showing a lot in my YouTube mentions lately, and it's a deck that has gotten one, I'll argue, minor scale buff, but it's a deck that I tend to see a lot now, and I'm not exactly sure why. So I was like, this is not that good of a deck, right? It's like it has some pretty explosive first turns, whether you go first or second, but then you're basically stuck in a top deck war against opponents who most likely have like more of a grind game than you do and better at the top decking stuff. So it's not that good a deck. And then I played it, and let's just say that my opinion changed a little bit. So obviously this is a back row deck in the same way that Medolce was a back row deck. It's even more egregious than Medolce because you only play 6 main deck monsters. 3 of which are basically like bricks, 4 of which actually. Actually, you'd rather not open any of these at all because these could all be fusion material. You'd rather open only back row, which is like baffling. But if you open a Red Eyes, it's not that bad. So you have like 5 semi-bricks that you can shuffle back with the scale, and 1 big brick that is Mana Dragon Zernitron, which is the absolute MVP of this deck, all things considered. This thing beats Cosmic Cyclone, it beats Dragon Pulse, I think is the one that destroys back row. It's an absolutely head of a card. Really good in back row oriented deck, which this is. So, quick rundown of the deck. We have 3 Red Eyes. I think you need all 3. It's a card that you can shuffle. It's very important that you play the OG. If you do have it. I do have it. I also have 3 of this Prismatic guy, but I prefer the OG. 1 Gear Freed because sometimes you want to go into Slash Dragon. 1 Red Eyes Wyvern because this is still the best pitch out of Red Eyes Insight. Zernitron, which is insane. And then mostly Disruption, Book of Moon, Forbidden Chalice, Warning Point, Compulse are the ones that I think are the most relevant at the moment. Cosmic Cyclone is there so that you don't get burned by back row, which can happen occasionally. Red Eyes Fang with Chain is a way to clear field, but more importantly, it's a way to steal a monster from your opponents permanently, which I think is pretty useful. Necrofusion is here, so we can make Borrowed Furious Dragon, which is a pretty solid disruption that we can keep on the field for a couple of turns. Not like we tend to put a lot of monsters on the field otherwise. And insight such as Fusion, which makes any of these guys, but locks you out of summoning for the rest of the turn, or for the turn at all, actually. And Fang with Chain, which is the other Red Eyes back row that we're playing. I don't think it's worth playing any of the Revival traps. I think they're that good. As far as the extra deck goes, 1 of each of the big Red Eyes Fusions. I don't think you need more than 1, like even if you tend to draw into other Red Eyes Fusion, just 1 of each is enough. You want to go for Meteor Black Comet first, because there's the most attack, and it dumps a Red Eyes on summon for Necrofusion, so you can Necrofusion both Red Eyes into your grave, and this guy can recycle Red Eyes in your graveyard anyway, so it doesn't it's not that bad. If you like dump your Red Eyes, don't worry about like activating multiple Red Eyes Fusion. You're gonna activate like 1.5 on average per game. Then we have 2 Borrowed Furious, which is a neat card. We have these Xyzs that I actually never went into, now I think about it, but maybe someday I will. And Link Disciple, because I'm still scared of Ibli in the Year of our Lord 2023. I don't often do the cherry-picked replays kind of video, but I played a couple of games with this deck, and I cherry-picked some replays, so let's watch them. First replay of the day is against Orcust. I'm recording this on the day of publishing it, which is like 1 day before Orcust gets nerfed. So that's kind of annoying. This is in Legend. I think it was like Legend 2, and then I moved to 3, which is decent. Anyway, activate Red Eyes Insight, mill the Wyvern, get the Fusion, and then I activate the Scale in order to shuffle the other Insights into the deck, just in case I draw the Fang with Chain. I don't draw the Fang with Chain. I don't shuffle the Red Eyes Inside, I shuffle the Gear Freed for some reason. And then I send Zernitron and Red Eyes Black Dragon in order to make Comet, which is basically your turn 1 setup. This insulates you against back row removal, it's really good. And then you have 3 back row, 2 of which are going to be bluff. This sends another Red Eyes as part of its effects, and then I said 3, only 1 of which is relevant, which is going to be the Necro Fusion. So my opponent Cosmic Cyclones the Necro Fusion, which I'm going to activate. They Cosmic Cyclone another card, which is the Red Eyes Insight, which doesn't really matter at all. And make Boral Furious Dragon. Boral Furious Dragon is there, and then Zernitron, because the spell trap was removed, is going to special summon itself, and doesn't even get to bring anything back because my opponent conceded. One of those games. Red Eyes is only ever as good as the amount of back row you can have and how relevant that back row is. That was definitely a premature surrender for my opponent. That's their loss. Second game is hopefully a bit more interesting. It's going to be against Odd Eyes. Don't get fooled by yugioh. Nobody's playing Phantom Knights anymore. It's just going to be Odd Eyes. So my opponent's on Odd Eyes. They're going first, of course. I have Red Eye Fusion. I drew the Thundertron. I also drew a Red Eye. So not the greatest of hand. I basically only have 1 disruption, and they're basically just gonna do their pure Odd Eyes combo, I guess. So they're gonna set the scale, activate the scale to go +3, retrieve a card with Faux Dragon Magician, which is insane that like this skill didn't get nerfed. Still insane. Like, yeah, maybe we should stop making scales that are just easy pluses. This and the speed rate scale, like the Red Eye scale, at least requires you to switch your O, and then adds a card to your deck, which not the greatest effect in the world. Anyway, he's gonna make Volo and Roach. I don't know if he knew that Roach doesn't negate fusion summons. Well, summons made with a fusion spell, but this is probably not mine. Anyway. Activate the scale, put the summons call, get the inside, get rid of the Red Eyes. That represents another disruption. I drew a warning point for turn, which is cool too. Get the Penguin Chain, activate Red Eyes Fusion, and I decided to go for the Black Skull Dragon this time. The reason for this being that this is basically Armadis. When it attacks, it prevents back row, well, all cards from being activated. So I thought that maybe if my opponent wasn't paying attention, could get an easy attack on the Verlo and have been able to answer it. But of course, like, you get multiple triggers from the game letting you know that you can activate Verlo at any time, which to his credit, he does. So give us his attack. This is from Roach, basically left setting 3 and passing. Activates the Dragon Pit in order to pop the Fang Chain, which is the least important of the 3. Zernitron's already in my hand, so I get to special Zernitron and retrieve the Red Eye Fusion for next turn, because there is actually going to be a next turn. Attacks the Zernitron, attack directly with Roach, I compulse it, and then I'm going to take 3000. I don't know why I didn't warning point the Coin Dragon. I guess it's not really that important, you know. Anyway, Red Eye Fusion. This time it doesn't have anything to stop me, and I'm going to go for Slash Dragon, because that's my only target left, actually. It's not like I have much of a choice. So Slash Dragon is going to attack and equip Gearfried in order to get an attack boost, which is also going to reduce, by destroying a Coin Dragon, the attack of the Volophonagus, which is pretty good for me. Normal summons the Joker, activates the effect, I'm warning points that, so he's cut off of rank 4 options as well, which is, I think, pretty solid turn. Anyway, he summons the Coin Dragon in defense, and then attacks. I guess he knew that he didn't have lethal, right? Because I just have the Book of Moon, so I Book of Moon the Coin Dragon in order to deny him the attack boost and get over his thing. And then I draw a Book of Moon, just not great. Destroy the Joker in order to do damage, but also because his Pension is already locked. Bring back Red Eyes from grave, which it's not my favorite animation of Red Eyes, but it is definitely my favorite artwork. Like, the other artwork, I feel, is much less like iconic than this one, as the one that he used in the anime too, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he knows that he's lost basically at this point. There's nothing he can do, so he just takes care of himself. So yeah, that was a rather long game by Dueling Standard and 7, and like I said, Zernitron absolute MVP of this deck. This third game is against Speed Druid, and for context, this is the game that happened immediately after the August one. So I'm in a good mood, you know. I'm in a good spot feeling really good about this. I'm going first, and then I see my opening hand. I was like, oh, I can't do anything. Just said 3 pass. Sometimes you have hands in this deck where you just said 3 pass. How often do I open this card, by the way? I feel like it's way too much. Anyway, Wind Pitch Wind gets the Terra Top. It's fine. I have enough negates to take care of this. So Terra Top effect. I Forbidden Chalice it. Takes care of this. But it doesn't matter because it already has the Takatomborg. I Forbidden Chalice the Takatomborg. I'm not sure why I do that. Like, that doesn't really serve any purposes. You can just normal summon a tuner and burned. Well, I have the warning for, but that was like a mid-play until he tributed it, which I think was really funny. Anyway, pitch the red-eye dice with the skill, double yo-yo to bring it back, but you have the warning point for the double yo-yo. And as you say, we're feeling good. You know, I just have to draw a good card. I drew another Chalice. So, you know, that's the thing. I should have chaliced that as well, I guess. But at this point, it's basically nothing I can do. Because that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes you just open these hands. Would I have won if I had Chalice attack at Zomborg? I don't know, because it will have... Dependent on my next top deck, I had 25 cards left in deck. And I guess all 4 Red Eyes monsters are good in that situation, because I can shuffle them back for the back row. But I have a chance to draw Chain, which is nothing. Insight would have been good, Fusion would have been really good. I don't know. But not a game worth playing. And last but not least, a very mind-baffling game against Phantom Knights. I wouldn't show it normally, but I thought it was a really funny game. Anyway, I'm going first. Open double Necrofusion, that's good. Double Necrofusion, Book of Moon, Necrofusion, Black Comet, Dragon, sending Zernatron because I want to protect my few back row that I have. There it is, Meteor, Black Comet, Dragon. And then send the Red Eyes in order to immediately be able to Necrofusion. And then set 3. That's really intimidating for your opponent. That's your turn 1. That's your ideal turn 1. Anyway, he also does the set 3. Well, sets 4 with a monster. Banish double Red Eyes from grave in order to make Ball of Fuse Dragon in the end phase. Consider popping a card. I think it's not worth it though. Anyway, set the Cosmic Cyclone. I don't know what his back row is, so I'm not gonna use it just yet. And this really weird chain of events. So he activates Dark Gauntlet, which on activation mails a Phantom Knight back row, and he mails the Tomb Shield, which can negate a trap. Can negate a face-up trap, not the activation. There's the effect itself, kind of like Magician Navigation, except the turn was sent to grave. So that's something that you have to keep in mind for the rest of the game. That plus he said Bacon Saver, plus he activates Phantom Knight Wing to protect the Bacon Saver. Just like insane. Just just an insane. I know that I'm gonna be playing this game for a long time, but I have ball control, so I'm not too worried for the moment. Normal summon Cloak. Cloak effect to send itself to events, it's 1. I decide to immediately Cosmic Cyclone instead. It's Shadow Veil, which is another like PK back row that basically stops attacks, which is a really weird deck. Anyway, draw the challenge, doesn't do much in that scenario. He has the second wing, and he prevents the destruction of his guy. I guess he could have Bacon Saver at any time to keep the cloak. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, Raiden, I let him mail too, because I'm like, what the heck kind of deck is this? He mailed another PK back row. Then can manage the Ancient Cloak in order to get a Ragged Gloves for next turn. He has no way of summoning it, and his graveyard is devoid of Phantom Knight monster except for the Fragile Armor that he just mailed. So, attack with Red Black Dragon, attack with Ball of Furious. He messed up because he activated Dark Gauntlets and Bacon Saver in the same chains that only negates 1 attack. But I guess he wanted the body on board. I guess he thought it was more important. Normal summon Lumina. I decide to Book of Moon that because I know how this ends. Fragile Armor pitching the Ragged Gloves that I know about. Phantom Moon Wings bringing back the Ragged Gloves. And then I found out that he's on PK order, which allows him to make any Xyz monster from rank 2 to 4. Is it any Xyz monster or is it just limited to darks? It's any Xyz monster as well. Okay. Anyway, he's gonna go for the Javelin guy, Cursed Javelin, which on summon is going to get 1000 attacks per Waglove's effect. He's going to attack. I activate the Warlord Furious Dragon now because I know that the effect to reduce the attack of a monster to 0 and negates its effect is, I think, going to be activated in damage step, but I'm not sure. I decide to activate it preemptively. It's not like I have nothing if he changes it. I just have the Forbidden Chalice. Anyway, so pop this on the guy and negate it and pop, and I'm the only one left with a monster. Set Compulse, set Book of Moon, attack the Lumina, and then that's the end of my turn. Fascinating game so far, 10-10 by the way. Activates the Wing after normal summoning the... Wouldn't have been better to do this, so you keep your normal summon. Anyway, it's going to go for Break Sword, and there's no way I'm letting this happen, so Break Sword is not going to activate its effect as the Ragged Glove effect in order to gain 1000 attack on summon. I'm just going to compose that in order to bait the Tomb Shield in Graveyard, and then in a separate chain after this resolves, I'm going to activate Book of Moon to set the Break Sword, and then in the end phase I'm going to activate Necrofusion, not that I don't have to feel the Tomb Shield anymore, to bring a second Furious Dragon. I don't think Zenitron has been really useful in this game. So, I drew the Fang with Chain for turn, and I'm like, that's really cool. It gives my Black Comet Dragon a second attack, and I'm like, oh wait, I can just send this back to try and get another fusion so I can make another monster. That's really cool. Anyway, I had Red Eye Fusion randomly, by the way, and then, because I have sent Summon Scald, I can make the Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, which is such a cool card that can also allow me to recycle Red Eye's Black Dragon, which is going to be relevant, actually. Because this negates, or rather it prevents your opponent from activating effects until the end of the damage step, the Break Sword does not actually float into all the monsters. Was it because it was flipped face down and forgot that it was Xyz summoned? I'm not sure, I'm not quite sure on the ruling here. Anyway, just gonna attack directly, he's gonna activate Dark Gauntlet in order to summon that. Punch the Dark Gauntlet, attack directly with Furious Dragon, and the last card in hand is Sky Droid. It's one of the games of all time. Oh boy. Anyway, shuffle back the Red Eyes in order to inflict 1200 damage. And yeah, swords in order to bring back the Break Sword. I'm not sure what it accomplishes here, but then I see that the card that he top decked was Rank Up Magic Launch. Absolutely insane. It means he can go into Dark Rebellion, and basically achieve bold dominance. I'm not sure if Dark Rebellion can do anything in that scenario, other than delay the inevitable for return, unless he kills precisely Warlord Furious Dragon. Speaking of which, I'm just not gonna let that happen. Warlord Furious Dragon targeting the Meteor Comet Dragon and itself. Comet Dragons are gonna bring back the Summon Scald, which I think this is the first time I've ever summoned this in any duel. And that's the end of the game. Wow. How many turns that took? 12 turns. 12 turns of this. What was he cooking? Here's his deck list. That's one of the weirdest, most confused lists I've ever seen. I get the idea. I don't think the execution was very well done. But props to them for trying something different. And there you go, that's the deck, that's Red Eyes. This deck, Rogue. Everyone likes to throw the rogue, like, oh, my Triamid deck is Rogue because it's not meta. Rogue doesn't mean not meta, it means it lives on the edge of the meta, and I was like, specific applications against the meta. Like, it was a deck that was designed to, in a way or another, deal with the meta game, you know? I think this fits the definition of Rogue. It's a back row deck, and back row is really, 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 really good at the moment. That also has applications going second, and a very simple, straightforward game plan that basically can be summed up with big number, which can be too much for some decks to deal with. Like, very few decks have a clean out to Meteor Black Comet Dragon. Other than Book of Moon, I mean. Or Crystal Wing beats over it, but I mean, what doesn't it beat over? It's a, I can say it's a fun deck, but it's such a simple, straightforward, easy deck to play. You know, there's not too many complicated plays. There's not too many like forks in a row where you go, ah, if I had done this, I would have won. It's a very simple, straightforward deck, and sometimes it's just what you need. So, if you like Red Eyes, play this deck. If you spent a lot of gems getting all of these staples and the Red Eyes cards because they're each in a like different box. I guess this is in a structured deck, and so is this in 3 of this. Go ahead. And yeah, that's it. This is the video. Thank you for watching. I won't be able to upload a video tomorrow when all the cool leaks and stuff are revealed because I'm going to be really busy. But here's the video for today. It's been a while since I actually showcased some dueling gameplay. Hasn't it? Huh. Thank you for watching. Take care everyone. I'll see you guys and gals and non-binary pals next time.